how do we avoid the fourth-headed monster of estate planning and elder law, the $15,000 per month nursing home. Oh my. Hey folks, elder law care attorney Patrick Kelleher coming to you from elderlawcare.com. Folks, pull up your chair, get your pen and notebook out, because today's question is, should you buy your parents' home if they are in a nursing home? Folks, that's an important question, but it's even more important than that is the answer to that question. Folks, elder law care attorney Patrick Kelleher, the author of How to Avoid the Metaphorical Four-Headed Monster of Estate Planning and Elder Law, recommend pick up a copy on Amazon, because it'll teach you how to slay that metaphorical four-headed beast: probate court, the estate death tax, financial creditors and predators, and that $15,000 per month nursing home or more. Folks, back to the question. Should you buy your parents' home if they are already in a nursing home? Typically, the answer would be no, and this is the reason why. Because the rules of Medicaid say that the principal residence, we're talking about the principal residence, your family home, your parents have one home, it's considered their principal residence. Medicaid rules, if they're already in a nursing home, they're either private paying or they're on Medicaid. If they're private paying, they may be looking to get on Medicaid if they're running out of private pay funds. Or they might be on Medicare for up to 90 days, and then they either have to private pay or get on Medicaid. If your parents own a family home and it's not previously protected in a Medicaid asset protection trust or treasure chest, if the home is in their name and it's a principal residence, the rules of Medicaid say this: the principal residence is a non-countable asset for eligibility purposes. That's not a bad thing, right? So a person or your parent could be house rich and cash poor and still potentially qualify for Medicaid benefits, so long as they meet the other eligibility requirements, okay? So house rich, cash poor in this scenario and still qualify for Medicaid benefits. Under the current Medicaid rules, they can own a home valued greater than $1 million, about $1,033,000 in 2023 under the current Medicaid rules. And that home is still considered a non-countable asset for eligibility. Again, house rich, cash not so rich, they can still get Medicaid benefits, okay? Because the home, the principal home, a non-countable asset. Back to the question. So should you buy that home now, all right? So your parents could technically be eligible to receive Medicaid benefits if they're house rich, cash not so rich, to qualify for Medicaid. But if they sell their home to you, now they're sitting on cash proceeds. Say they sell their home to you for $500,000, $600,000. That $500,000, $600,000, whatever they sell their home for, is not a non-countable asset. What is that going to do? It's going to take away that protected asset, non-countable for eligibility purposes initially, and it's going to put them way, 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 way over asset. In order to qualify for Medicaid, typically they can't have more than $2,000 in their name, okay? Now they sell their home and they're sitting on hundreds of thousands of dollars in private pay funds. So to answer your question, if the family's intent and if your parents' intent is to private pay for the nursing home, maybe that will work. So long as you know that money is not going to be protected if they sell the home and you have your parents now, you give them fair market value consideration for the home, and you have to do that, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And now your parents are sitting on a pile of cash. Well, they're going to have to use that private pay cash to private pay the nursing home, or look at some permissible Medicaid spend downs and maybe Medicaid crisis planning options. And there's not a lot of them in the elder law toolbox when it comes to crisis planning in this current Medicaid environment. So it's really important, folks, that you consult with a qualified, experienced elder law attorney in your jurisdiction, in your community around this question. Really important. So typically the answer is no, because you're going to put your parents over asset. And then from my experience, if the parent's home is worth $500,000, typically the children want to buy it for much less than that. So you're buying it for not fair market value. Hypothetically, if the child buys it for $300,000, well, you're still doing your parents a disservice, because you're putting them way over asset with that $300,000 pile of cash that they're going to be sitting on, that they're going to now have to private pay or try to shelter that permissibly. Again, there's not a lot of options to do that with Medicaid crisis planning. But if your parents sell you the house for less than fair market value, the difference If the house is worth $500 and they sell it for $300, the difference, $200,000, would be considered by Medicaid as a gift. In fact, an impermissible gift, which will create a big penalty period, which will also disqualify them from Medicaid benefits. So that's not a good reason to do it either, folks. Another big disadvantage to buying the house when your parents are already in a nursing home. The other concern would be if you did purchase the house for fair market value or less than fair market value, and you do not live in the house, if you have your own home, but you go to sell the house, if it's not your primary residence, you're not going to get Section 121 of the Internal Revenue Code to get a capital gains tax exemption coupon of a $250,000 per person. If you buy their house and you do not live in the house and the house appreciates in value, you could very well end up paying a big, large capital gains tax, which is the metaphorical second-headed monster, the tax man or the taxing authority. So folks, from my experience, there's more downsides and there's more disadvantages and there's more detriments to buying your parents' home when they're already in a nursing home. So folks, have that situation carefully assessed and evaluated by an experienced elder law attorney before you take any action in that regard. Thanks for joining us today. Patrick Kelleher, elderlawcare.com. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to learn more about elder law and how to slay that metaphorical four-headed beast, strongly recommend pick up a copy of my book on Amazon, because you will learn how to slay that four-headed beast of estate planning and elder law. Folks, thanks for joining us today at elderlawcare.com.